Fiti.
Uko sawa?
Tuko chonjo hapa.
Unafeel aje leo?
Feel good Friday. Like for real, it's a good Friday.
It is a feel good Friday. Manze tusisahau leo being a Friday, being a December, sherehe iko kila mahali manze. And summer buddies wana land leo wengi wao.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, if you have a girlfriend, boyfriend pale ukipigia leo akose kuchukua simu my friend.
Ujue tu kuna vile.
Hey. Here comes trouble, here comes the danger.
Danger, nakwambia Jamaican. Sisi ni wale wa Jamo, wale wako Kenya.
Absolutely. And leo unatuandalia nini matches entertainment leo?
Leo after reggae tutaenda international. After international tutakuwa na Kasupa Girl. Kasupa Girl fulani leo tuko na Kasupa Girl fulani tuko nayo hapo. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anaitwa Amy, si ndio? Amy ni msanii.
Absolutely. Na so leo tunatambua, tunakagua na tunachambua what is happening in the entertainment industry hapa kule. And nimesahau kujintroduce enyewe ni Friday.
Marege zimekushika.
Zimenishika.
Naona ameheshimiwa pia ameshikwa huko mpaka anatuma request na kuambia Magdalena anasema zikuje kwa wingi. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, now it is time to delve into matters that affect the state of the nation with my co-host Pale, Eric Monene. Now over to you, Eric, and a very good morning to you.
A good morning to you. DJ Freddy hapo naona unachangamsha my co-host Modoni Maina. Modoni Maina was quite dull in the morning. I'll be telling you the reason why. But welcome to the Morning Cafe, right here on TV47, the home of untold stories. My name is Eric Munene, sitting in for Linda Alela. Remember, you can engage us using our hashtag at Morning Cafe. Sorry, the hashtag rather is Morning Cafe TV47 at TV47KE is our Twitter handle at Eric_Munene. That is mine. Keep us, having this conversation moving on. But before niende, Mudhoni, how is the EPL table currently? The EPL table. Well, let me tell you guys, Modoni today woke up dull. I'm telling you, DJ Freddy is doing a good job trying to, cheer up. Modoni, yesterday Manchester United was playing with that other team. I can't really remember. It's some Arsenal. Is it Arsenal or something? Yes. Yeah. Oh, Linyorosho. Modoni is a very big fan of that team. I don't know if the director can support me on this. Oh yeah, there she goes. I'm telling you, so that is Modoni. Yani, hey, she's the representative of that team, East and Central Africa. Nakwambia.
Sisi watu wa Man U
already kununulia breakfast. Take heart Modoni. Things do happen. But welcome to the Morning Cafe right here on TV47. We're going to have a lot is coming up, rather. We're going to discuss what is making news across the country. I have my power panelists here with me. I have Ken Osido, who's a governance expert. Karibu sana to the show.
Asante sana, nimeshukuru. Na Modoni ajitie moyo.
Yeah, that's what we are telling her, yeah. But DJ Freddy is doing a good job trying to cheer up. So yeah, Freddy, you have a long day today. Najua utafanya kazi mzuri. And then on Kevin Osido's left is Peter Mushendu, who's also a political analyst. Karibu sana to the show.
Meshukuru. I'm glad to be here in the morning. Modoni tunampeleka power breakfast tukitoka hapa.
Very important. Very important. As you see in that picture, your portrait, that's the official portrait by there.
Yeah, and I must say very sorry to the church where I fellowship. Almost 80% of the men fellowship is Arsenal fans.
Oh my.
And every time Arsenal wins, we do not have time to breathe along the week. What a gracious God he has given us. a time to relax and enjoy the wind.
But at least I know this weekend is going to be a bit peaceful. Tutakuwa na kelele mingi sana mtaani. Watu watanyamaza. At least we have we discuss about important things like the economy and everything else now that Manchester United. Thank you so much, Cristiano Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes, for enabling us to have fruitful discussions this whole weekend. Asanteni sana wherever you are. So let's go right into it. I want us to go through the Daily Nation first. School fire fines are sparking a fresh crisis. Osido, there's someone who says that a lot of people are making money, or rather some rogue principals are allegedly making money due to this crisis. And I want to hear your views on that. Parents are complaining that thousands, they ask for thousands before their students resume classes.
Yeah, quite unfortunate, Freddie, because, rather Eric, if you look at what putting up a classroom or a dormitory or a kitchen facility in a school costs, it will not go up to what some of the principals in these schools are asking for. And that is really out of the bill of quantities that you basically expect to give you the costings. Of course, we have to condemn all these actions and activities by the pupils. They must be told that they are basically affecting their future, and that there is no employer. In fact, there is nobody who would want to associate with any kid who is coming from a school that has perennially burnt down buildings or been chaotic. But that therefore brings me to the third issue, which is to say that we have to enhance our communication. If you look at most of these schools, and we also have some of our relatives and even kids in some of these schools, there is not effective communication between the school administration and the parents and guardians that is going on. So it's more or less like a shocker. You talk to people from Maranda, they will tell you, we were asked to bring back our children, but on arrival, we are being lumped with some, money which is required, 10,000, 2,000, 8,000 shillings. That needed to be communicated before these children get back to school. And the same applies to all the other tens of schools out of the entire country that have gone on strike and have been rampaged before. And so my appeal to, of course, the CS has said that the national government, the Minister of Education, will not involve itself in the kind of conversation that is happening. But the buck stops right at the Minister of Education level. They have to come in and negotiate, this kind of dialogue that is taking place between the parents and guardians and also the school administration. So my call is basically to our school administrators to consider effective engagement with the parents. We do not want to be shocked because of the kind of monies that are being levied on parents. And this is happening, Eric, barely a month or two after schools opened back. And so parents have already paid their school fees. They didn't expect, or we didn't expect, that schools were going to be burnt. So that therefore means that kids also have to be properly talked to. Some of these children are quite frustrated. They are stressed. And the fear out there, as he said, is that they are scared of examinations. We all went through schools and we were never scared of examinations. Mitiani ukuja, unafanya unapita, unafanya unafeli, you move on. And that really needs to be the message. So my appeal is to the Minister of Education to consider having effective conversations with the parents. Those national conferences for school administrators and principals really need to come back. And the theme of those particular conferences now need to be effective communication for proper school administration.
Peter, don't you find it strange that the number of public schools that have experienced unrest are quite high as compared to those belonging to private investors?
Well, there is, I was having a discussion with someone yesterday, and there's something Osindo has said that caught our attention as we were having that discussion, that this rampage has gone on the rise. We have had cases before, even when we were in high school, but it has not gotten to where it is right now, which begs me to think that there is more than meat there in these things. One of the schools that I will not mention here had a dormitory partially burned. Partially, the building is still standing. And when the kids went back to school, every parent was told to produce Kenya shillings 2,000. the school has about 1,100 students, and each one of them had to contribute, including those who don't even stay in those dormitories. So if you ask a parent to do 2 Kenya shillings 2,000, that is a whooping, immediately that's a whooping 2.4 million to do repairs. Then would I be in order to think that we may have even some people in the administration instigating these things to ensure that they make a kill, because you know the ministry has tried to streamline how principals make money out of schools. And I don't just want to blame students. I also want to think that our administration must have taken these issues casually. Can you imagine a student has stayed home for a whole year, something she or he has not experienced until from the day she went or he went to school. They have not stayed at home for that long. And therefore, you can imagine trying to change that mindset and tuning that kid back to the school system. That requires that schools invest in psychologists, school invest in counselors to counsel these students. But you find most schools and most administrators are taking the state of mind of these kids casually. And I think that could be one of the problems, because, I mean, even if it was you have enjoyed your freedom for a whole year, and now you're being taken back to a system where you need to follow rules and whatever. Whoever is in the administration needs to take to account that your mindset needs to be tuned back to that institution. So I think that the administration must invest in the well-being of the kids' mind. You know, our kids are in that age of being influenced. So there is that agitation and urge to do so and so. Beshte yangu from this school walichoma wakaenda nyumbani, let's do the same. So there has to be a deliberate effort from the education sector to treat the well-being of the mind of these kids very seriously. Invest on counseling is a costly affair, but if you do not have kids who are in the best state of minds in school, as an administrator, you're about to fail. I mean, I'm not condoning what happened. Is it Mohoho? Is Mohoho High School? But I really admired how those students told Mwarimu, we just want to go home before we ban anything else. And we will tell you when you are coming back.
That was a subtle blackmail. Or a threat.
No. I won't, let me tell you what strikes me, Osindo.
Yes.
If the students were candid enough to have a conversation with their teacher, it means that they have a good relationship with that teacher. They can be able to converse. Yeah. You must not just look at that from a negative level. You must look, that is a principal who listens to them. That is a principal who talks to them. That is somebody they felt we can go and speak to. Now we start from there. Rather than looking at it from a blackmail point of reference, you look at kids who are able to converse. And now that is a guy who can build from that. When those student goes back, as much as he will, and he has to, of course, punish them, because you cannot expect students to take those actions and not go unpunished, it means there are people that can have a conversation. So I think for me is that the education sector, as they address those young boys, don't be very quick to rush to take our kids to court and everything. Let us ask ourselves, do you know what 1 year has done to the state of mind of our children when they stayed home? How many, I don't know whether you have counted the number of students who did not report to campus after Corona season was over. So don't just look at the high schools, even campuses. It tells you that something deliberate, because we sent our kids home, our parents' businesses were closed, so constraints at home and everything, your pressure, everything, and that kid has to bottom down that pressure and go to school and learn. So let's not just take their state of mind in a casual manner. We must address it, and address it in a way that we can help our kid adjust and come back to the system of education from staying home for 1 year.
Okay, so and you've mentioned something very important, that the kids are at an age right now that they are easily influenced and get easily agitated. And I want us to talk about that vis-a-vis the curriculum changes. The CBC has brought with it a lot of changes. And the Principal Secretary for Implementation of Curriculum Reforms, that is Fatuma Chege, says that public primary schools with extra facilities are going to be converted. Some parts of the primary schools are going to be converted to host, junior secondary school students. Do you think that, Osido, in your opinion, is going to solve this issue, or it's just going to exacerbate it?
One of the challenges that the Ministry of Education has is, as I said earlier on, communication. And if you look at the genesis of all this trouble that we have in our schools, remember it began from conversations, and this is perennial, from Dr. Matiang's time all the way to the former CS, Amina Mohammed, and right now we have Professor Magoha. And the conversation went on and on, including even the Kenya National Union of Teachers. So how we handle challenges at that administrative level really boils down insofar as the level of implementation. And so it is a good thing for us to think about the CBC in terms of facilities, in terms of the planning process, and even the transition. Because remember that we have over 1.8 million kids who are introduced into the CBC. And these are children who are not learning backwards, they are learning forwards, and the number is increasing. So it is important, therefore, for the Ministry of Education to be thinking around how to transit them, because we have had the first class in 2021, and when the next class comes in 2023, then we expect that we should be able to receive them. So in my view, the ministry is doing proper introspection in terms of what do we do when we finally get these children. But remember, again, that even as we talk about facilities, it is not just about having the space. Part of the reasons why these children probably are feeling this kind of pressure is some of the schools we are talking about don't even have playing grounds, Some of the playing grounds have been kidnapped or grabbed,
Yes.
by people whose interest is so selfish and is not progressive enough to be looking at the interest of the children. So we are talking about classrooms, given the numbers of the facilities that we need for these children to be able to be put in to learn. We are talking about the number of teachers, the ratio between teachers and children per classroom. How does that, contribute to what is happening in our schools? We are also talking about remuneration for these particular teachers. We are talking about the support staff. So it really, in my view, goes beyond just the extra facilities that the ministry is thinking about for public primary institutions that will therefore be converted into junior secondary. But remember also that the reason why the ministry is looking at this particular conversion is because of the numbers, that we have more than 1.8 million and we don't have proper facilities to receive them when they ultimately transit from the CBC into the secondary education level. So it's a good thing that the ministry is thinking about this transition. Those who have been put in the task force should be able to receive the recommendations, and conversations should be going on, particularly with school administrators, because that is really purely where, in my view, the challenge is. Remember that even the manner in which CBC was introduced, even to the teachers themselves, the training was chaotic. Some of them refused to go for the training. They were making demands which the ministry was not willing to listen to. So that therefore means that the policies that guide everything that happens around the Ministry of Education really need to be open, and conversations around what I would, in a nutshell, from a governance lens, call public participation, so that everybody is feeling involved. When there are mistakes, we all co-own those mistakes. When there are successes, we all co-own and and enjoy and actually celebrate those kind of successes.
Sawa sawa. And Mushendu, there's a very interesting human interest story there on the front page of the Daily Nation. And this is likely to set a precedent. And I'm very, very interested to see how it goes. And it relates to the cost of education and what parents are saying. Education is quite expensive. There's a man there who is suing for 20% salary of his son's salary. The father says he sacrificed all he had to educate the man to university level. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I saw this story and I would want to address it from a humanity side of it, rather than the legal part of what Mzee is looking for. But this is the sad reality of our country today, my brother. We have young men whose parents have given everything for them to be where they are. I was not born in a rich family. I was born in a family of a young man and his wife struggling to start a church. My dad is a reverend with a church from a church of 7 people. You move the church to 20 people, and 10 people depart and do another church. And I started remembering things my mom and dad have sacrificed, wearing good clothes. I mean, it was hard to even remember that my mom would walk barefoot around for me and my siblings to be in school. And God has given us grace that we are where we are and we are able to live a good life. And it is a very sad state of affair for this young man who has been sued by the father. I would first of all start by saying shame on him, that your father has been forced to go to sue you. Because let me tell you, and Osido will agree with me, that it doesn't matter what your relationship today is with your parent. The truth and the fact of the matter is they have brought you up.
Yes.
If it was not for them, you would not be who you are today. So what your relationship is today with them is not, it is a non-issue to me. It doesn't matter whether you get along today or you don't. But if your parents saw you through to where you are, it is your canon responsibility to take care of your parents. And you look, young people here are partying around, they are moving around, and I was fortunate enough around 3 months ago to accompany a friend of mine who lost the mom to Nyamira, to go and lay the mom to rest to Nyamira. And what I saw there, my brother, was very horrific. And those friends of mine who are watching with me will tell you we felt. I mean, we have a friend who is a party animal here in Nairobi, who is generous to almost everybody. He will send money to friends who have not requested for that money. And when you go at home and you look at the nature of how the family is staying at home, I felt that this generation needs to change. This generation needs to apply humanity. We do not want to see such a headline in the country, because people may read it for the fun of reading it. But this is a very sad headline for the youths and the generation of Osindo who are a little bit ahead of us, to read that a young man has been sued by the father who has given up everything for you to go all the way to university. And your father has to go to court to sue you so that you can help him. It's sad for me. I don't even want to know the nitty-gritties of whether legally it is applicable or not. But as a Kenyan, and as a nation that its core is based on respect for our parents, this is very wrong. This is uncalled for. And I would want to ask every young man out there, it doesn't matter how much you earn. The ritual you have, the match you have, your parents, because let me tell you, do you know that even the Bible says the only blessing in the Bible that comes with getting wrong life, it is that of your parent. And I probably think if you look at the statistics from the Register of Births and Deaths, look at the average age of people who are dying in this country, my brother. It is not the old. It is the poor. One of the best way to sign your signature to the grave very fast, it is neglect of the man and woman who brought you to this world. And I say this, it does not matter how your relationship with your parent is now. What matters is that they did not take you to a children's home. They did not leave you at the chief's. The other day we were helping a kid that has been left at the chief's place. Nobody knows. We took him to the children's. Man, they did not take you to a children's home. Despite the problems and the challenges they were facing, they decided to struggle with you. However, in whichever capacity they brought you up, they never sent you away.
Okay.
That is enough reason to say thank you to those parents. And if you're in this Nairobi and you do not check on your parents, you do not take care of your parents, please feel ashamed. And I would pray that you go back and make sure that you treat your parents right. We do not want to see this headline.
Okay.
For anybody who is looking at this headline from international level, this is the root core of the problems you are facing in this country.
Well, you've spoken very passionately about the basic family structure, and Osido, I want to engage you on this, on the legal implications that this is going to probably have in future, in as far as kids being compelled to assist their parents is concerned. And for the editors to put it on the front page, it means it carries a lot of weight. Osido, legally, you know, upkeep can only be enforced for children under the age of 18. Right?
Yeah.
What is your opinion on these far-reaching consequences, I must say, right?
Definitely so, but remember that the father, sorry, from the story that we have, the father is 78 years old. I mean 73. The son is 48 years old. So you go to court on what premise? The prayer there is that I am looking for upkeep, and it looks like the father is asking for, you know, give and take. I paid for your school fees, and so you are actually obligated, you know, to offer support and also to pay back, you know, quote unquote, if I could use those words. I don't think there is any, I haven't heard of any premise in law that would really, looking at the ramifications of this particular matter, probably the judgment would be that the son and the father sit and do an out-of-court settlement. But from a moral perspective, and as Peter has rightfully put it, the judges or whoever, the magistrate or whoever is going to preside over this matter would be looking at why would the father want to sue the son? And for all these years, you know, what has been their past relationship? Is there anything, did the father contribute to maybe a business which the son got? Was there anything written in terms of...
he says here, he even went ahead and paid the dowry for the defendant's wife, which cost him 4 cows and some amount of money, whose sum he can't really,
exactly,
you know, recall.
So those are the details, which now, because, and as you said, for the editors to put this on the front newspaper, it means that it carries a lot of weight.
Yes, yes.
And so the court would be listening to the relationship of the father and the reasons behind the father's interest in suing the son or taking the son to court. And like the issues that you are now raising, including the father's investment in the son's marriage, at 48, honestly, depending on when you got married, you expect your father to be the one to be selling cows, 4 cows to go and pay your dad? I don't think that's fair. So mine is an appeal, and we have seen many of these cases actually. And as Peter said, our peers, most of our friends who celebrate in this town, you go back to their homes, hata hakuna choo, there's no toilet for the parents. It's a call for us to begin to take responsibility if we really want God's blessings. Because the third or the fourth commandment says, honor your father and your mother so that your days may be long in this world. I would not be shocked if tomorrow a similar story of the son is carried, that he has passed on or that he is involved in an accident. We must do everything possible, Eric, and our viewers, to get blessings from our parents.
Okay, so
and I will also give a rejoinder.
Just hold that thought. I want us to take a very, very short break. You will give the rejoinder after this very, very short break. We are going for a commercial break. Remember, this is the Morning Cafe. To engage us, you can use hashtag Morning Cafe TV47 at TV47KE. That's our Twitter handle. Text us 22047. That's our text number. You can text us live. Tell us what you think. We appreciate your feedback.
Entrepreneurs around the country are creatively grinding.
I started with a borrowed phone.
A borrowed phone?
Yeah, that could last 2 hours with charge.
We just have to do quality work for them.
To make their mark in an unpredictable market.
It was now going on a sales venture, looking for stockists, door to door.
On the grind, we bring you their stories so you can tell yours. Every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Men are known to be the pillars.
we're rising up together.
Say your point.
You need an alpha male now to come and help you and your girl.
Ameongea zero.
And women, they are the cornerstone that hold the pillars.
Don't be entitled. A man is peaceful, a man knows how to talk to a lady.
This November, the Men's Conference brings a cocktail of diverse ladies to weigh in on various matters.
Something I'd love more to see is men being able to exist as themselves.
Tune in every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
Hello guys, and welcome to Night In with Joy Irungu. Joy Irungu. Joy Irungu.
Heartbreak, pain, and tears have been a major part of Night In Season 1. We thank you for being with us on this journey, and for this upcoming season, we will bring you more empowering stories that not everyone is talking about.
This is the only show where we keep it authentic. We share our lifetime experiences, and you know what? Tell every person that you can turn your pain into power.
Join Joy Irungu on Night In as we take the brave step of sharing.
The road to 2022 is becoming tougher.
Nyuma ya wheelbarrow kuna economic model.
And trickier with each passing day.
Niliwaambia washushe chini bei ya mafuta.
Political aspirants in a dilemma whether to change allegiance or not.
How has Raila and the handshake made Jubilee lose focus?
You've seen Raila Odinga flying military choppers.
Our people have never been called to Uhuru Park to unite. They have always united out of their own volition.
Reduce your madness.
Kenyans are suffering.
Would it be fair to conclude?
I don't want your station to be sued. That Jubilee government has never been able to sponsor any successful project.
Every Monday at 9:30 p.m., Pundits Night brings you inclusive and candid conversations with the pundits. We say disability is not inability.
Our impairment are not disability.
To give a rejoinder on that very interesting human interest story on the front page of the Daily Nation.
Yeah, you know, I find it very suspicious. We have laws in this country that compels Osindo here, if he fails to produce for his, to actually educate his kid and provide for the needs as she or he is growing up. Government, through court orders, can compel your employer to commit part of your salary to raising those kids. And it will be cut from the source. You have no say. So as you're being paid, part of your money goes to raising those kids. And I think for me that if parents are being compelled by courts to commit part of their earnings to raise their kids, it is then very paramount that those kids must also take care of the parents, because it is like an investment that parent has made in you as a young man. Today, I am married. Part of the dowry that I paid at my wife's place in Moranga was what my dad gave out. As our culture dictates that if I want to get a wife, it is my dad and my extended family that will go and negotiate on my behalf. I mean, what kind of respect would I have for my mzee if I don't take care of him? He is the man who took me to school. He paid through my school fees. Yes. He is the man when I come to this town and I meet a beautiful girl I want to marry, I will go back to. This is the guy who will go and talk to my extended family, my uncles and whoever. They go negotiate on my dad. So I mean, the government must also protect the old. And you see, this mzee is not demanding money from a young man who is not working. He's demanding money from a young man employed by the Kenya Port Authority. And therefore, I think for me is that we must also review these roles. If your parent has been able to get you through to university and you're able to get a job, then it must not just be a canon responsibility as human. It must also be a legal responsibility for every parent and for every son, for every daughter to take care of your parents.
Okay.
As much as it is human to do so, it must also from the legal aspect. And I probably hope this court can commit 60% of
Not
this
20.
young man, not 20, this young man's salary into his father's hands.
Which will have far-reaching effects, you know that.
It should be. It should be, because this one, it will work as a deterrent to those young people who are splashing money all over Nairobi. And when we go to bury their parents there, they have to go and get portable toilets for the guests to come, because you could not even afford to build a rat train at your home. It's a shame. So I pray that the courts can deal with this issue instead of the 20%. Let it put even at 50, 60. And then we will not have this kind of issue repeat itself.
Yeah, and in addition, just briefly, Eric, you also realize that the matter has been raised by the father himself.
Yes.
He doesn't have an advocate. And so that is also going to present a very interesting way of how the court is going to preside over this matter. And probably if it is a matter of, yes, it's a human story from news perspective, but if government is interested, maybe he could be given an attorney, a state attorney, to assist in terms of dealing with this matter. But from just the story that I see here, there are lots of details that probably the court would be looking at. And at the end of the day, I think it's really about the son's conscience. Do you want to see your father at 78? You know, it's thinking about the struggles that he has gone through to help you. And the story says that he sold even, you know, his cattle and gave him 1 acre piece of land. I think those are quite difficult things that fathers should be talking about. And the son, as the story says, is an employee of Kenya Ports Authority. I don't think KPA wants to be associated with these kind of stories. And so maybe the MD at KPA, depending on what their manual and the human resource policy says, probably would want to intervene. But the interesting thing is that it's a civil suit that has been done by the father, so it looks like a petition. And that will also really give us a lot of precedence in terms of how individuals present their matters to the court when there is no advocate.
Well, I want us to cross over to another issue that is of concern. We all know about the push and pull between the DCI boss, that is George Kinoti, and presidential aspirant Jimmy Wanjigi regarding his guns. But now it turns out that a lot of flamboyant politicians and controversial business people have been brandishing high caliber weapons in public, and now the government is thinking of you know, starting a crackdown on those people's homes and probably confiscate more weapons. And I want to hear your views on that, Peter Mushendo.
You know, a few years ago, when some of us went to apply for guns to be licensed, you had to go through a very rigorous process, including a serious assessment of your state of mind, a very serious assessment. And you would probably have to wait for almost a year before you really get the full license to carry guns. I have seen friends who visit that place today, and 3 days later, they are possessing serious guns. And you know, I see police say that they are shocked. They are not shocked by the illegal guns that people have. Because if Jimmy Wanjigi has been able to go to court and obtain a court order that declares he must be given weapons back, which in accordance with the licensing arm says that those weapons are not even licensed in Kenya. It tells you at the height of corruption we are having. And I think the first thing they need to do is audit the licensing authority. What is the process they do to license people with guns? I don't know whether you have witnessed, you have been unfortunate to witness these events in functions where people are splashing serious guns, where people are splashing state-of-the-art pistols, that you will find that even our police force is still using very old G3 guns. And you have people with very serious machines. Can you imagine walking into a ranch in Laikipia? You meet with a Maasai young man with a sophisticated AK-47 produced in 2015 or 2016. He has never even left the place to go to Nyahururu or Imuruti, where it's the nearest town. He does not even know where they are. But for whatever reason, miraculously, he is possessing a gun produced in Russia. There. That tells you that this country is dealing with very serious weapon smuggling. And these weapon smuggling in those places are associated with what we are calling warlords who are financing castle rustling. And this is where the problem begins. When we start licensing private gun owners to own very sophisticated guns, and you know this country is not like the US, my brother, where you have, it is amendment number what that allows Americans to own guns. And they have a regulation on how you can own guns. We have seen how guns have turned America into a crazy place, where someone wakes up and decides to start shooting at people, and at one incident we saw a guy killing 40 people in one morning. And I think for me, the police should spare us the nonsense of saying how much they are shocked. They are the very people who license these guns. Do they license them when they are still asleep? Two, where do these guns come from if our immigrations are very serious? How do you explain someone who has not left Samburu, someone who is 180 kilometers from here to Nyahururu is 130, from over 130, from Nyahururu to Maralal is another 180, from Maralal to Baragoi is another 190. Lakini somebody in Baragoi is having a sophisticated 2015 machine. And these police force are telling us they are working. I think I should be worried we have so many guns that are licensed, but the police should not be. The licensing authority. They should tell us how is this happening. Look at the courts. They decided that Wajigi must be given back the machines, and they in fact went ahead to jail the DCI boss, who is enjoying freedom, including going to parliament yesterday, where the representatives of the people were gracious enough to invite a convict into their premise to come and address them. And you have him saying that the guns, the kind of guns Wanjigi has, are not licensed in the country. Then, how did we get them? How do these people get them? Then, I think for me is that the police must, because the licensing authority is within the police, it is within the security apparatus. The problem starts there. Let them start there. Let them not act surprised. Let them not act worried. Let them act as if they care so much. They are the cause of that problem. You are licensing is people with a... We have a case, and I may not mention here, where Osindo we have taken up with the authorities a person we know who has a problem with his state of mind is questionable. Is the licensed gun holder. He in fact holds more than one gun. And you ask yourself, where did the process of analyzing the state of mind of a person, that at the small agitation that person just picks out the pistol and shoots? And this is the kind of thing we are saying. We do not want our country to turn chaotic. We do not want our country to be a gang country where at the smallest provocation, my brother here splashes a gun. And in the process of showing off, you accidentally shoot someone. We don't want our country to come.
So Osindo, the Firearms Licensing Board was overhauled by the Interior CS, Dr. Fred Matiang'i. And I just want to, as a governance expert, kindly tell us, why would a civilian want not just a pistol, but a high caliber, assault rifle, military grade, and not just one, two, in some instances, three, and even brandish them in public? I mean, why?
Eric, that's a lacuna. It's a big gap that we have as a country, because when you apply, well, there's a process towards owning a gun as a civilian. As an officer, of course, it's a requirement because you have to provide security, and that's part of your tools that your employer gives to you.
Yes.
But the requirement from the Licensing Firearms Act is that you have to write a letter to your OCS, the Officer Commanding Station, within the location where you stay, indicating why. So that should respond to the first question: why should a civilian want to own a gun? And some of the reasons are basically because you are a high voltage person of interest in terms of business or politics or the kind of associates that you have. You could be a private security provider who is not an officer, security officer, but so part of the work that you therefore require is that you are armed. And we have seen many, now in Kenya we even have private bodyguards who are being given firearms. The second thing that you provide is this issue that my good friend Peter is raising about sound mind. You must provide a letter from a certified professional psychiatrist that you have sound mind, and that at the least provocation you will not be brandishing your gun over there. The third thing is a good conduct certificate, which is issued by the National Police Service. You know, this thing we call good conduct. It is not just something that you get when you want to apply for a job or when you want to look for a passport or whatever thing you want to do, but when you want to own a license, you want to get, you want to be a private licensed firearm holder, you must provide a certificate of good conduct. The third thing is a fee which you pay. Initially it used to be 2,000 shillings, but after the overhaul that you're talking about happened, it was raised to 5,000 shillings, which is really little considered to the kind of guns that we see people brandishing over. And sometimes you walk into malls and you see people brandishing, you know, a small, after you are certified, you are given a small certificate, and there is a vetting board. So part of the reason that we see, why we see people brandishing these certificates, or rather these guns, Eric, is because the certificate that you are given and the process does not indicate the number of guns that you can own. And two, it does not show the kind of grade or level of the gun that you can have. And so people take advantage. And if you look at the number of private citizens in Kenya who own guns today, there are more than, I think, 1,300. The Vetting and Licensing Board will not have the opportunity to want to be calling everybody every day. So it should be also a personal responsibility from a civilian perspective. If you know that your neighbor misbehaves, like the stories that Peter is telling us here, go to the OCS and tell them it is your responsibility to you know, certify private gun holders. And so my neighbor called Kevin Osido, every time we have an estate meeting and he gets angry at the chairman, he tells us, Nitakushoot, I will shoot you. So can you please exercise? And the OCS and the vetting board at that locality has the right to summon Kevin Osido and say, yeah, we have these reports, of course exercising anonymity of the reporter, so that you also protect the whistleblower. You don't have to say your neighbor came here and told us, you know. And out of that, it will be a scare for so many people who are actually also, you know, misbehaving out there. But nationally, there is also the National Gun Holders Association, which really is a membership platform that people who own guns are free to register and join. And within that, you're also trained even how to handle your gun, how to conceal it, so that when you're in public, people don't have to know that you're holding a gun. And even, you know, once in a while you are taken through psychiatric examination and, you know, and tests, because you are within your colleagues. So you get to know how to behave even when you are angry and you feel like you want to brandish off your gun. So in response to your question, Eric, is that we have gaps in the licensing processes of these particular guns, that we don't indicate how many guns an individual who is a civilian can own, and the type of guns, because initially it used to be pistols, you know, which are purely just for your own security and for the reasons that you indicate as to why in the letter you want to be licensed to own a gun. But so people have taken advantage. You walk into political rallies, and as we head to 2022, we are going to be seeing this kind of confusion and misbehavior of people brandishing their guns. We have politicians who have shot people in social joints, you know, and have active cases that are going on. Nothing is being done. So we have to revise, even as we look at the overhaul of this particular vetting board, to begin to ask ourselves, do we want an individual to be owning 73 Jimmy Wanjigi's home, we saw the number of guns that were being brought out of that particular home. We have friends, you go visiting them and they will take you into small rooms. They show you more than,
small armories.
Yeah, and in a house.
I'm looking at a comment made by the spokesman of the Kenya Police a while ago, and it's surprising me. And he was saying that in Kenya, civilians are not allowed to possess long guns, but they can carry small arms that are hard-held, such as revolvers, self-loading pistols, rifles, submachine guns, assault rifles, and light machine guns designed for personal use. Now, when you hear hard-held submachine guns, it's very confusing, but it's a discussion we must have.
Okay.
That if we do not regulate, we must regulate.
Okay.
And you must give a clear, you do not just apply for the gun because you need it. It must be, if you look at that procedure, it must be very specific reasons.
Okay.
But and by the way, Eric, one of the requirements...
Very briefly, because I understand we're running out of time, and I really wanted us to touch on something else apart from the issue of guns. So in less than a minute, kindly.
One of the things that the board does is actually to visit your home and also check whether you have a safe. Because the gun for a personal firearm holder should not be something that you are using to show off. Yes. You should only go and pick it when you actually need it. Of course, sometimes security does not tell you that we are coming to deal with you tomorrow. But one of the things that is required is that you show them a safe before they license you, where you safely keep that gun. And if you're walking with it, you also have to indicate how safely within your body you have secured it, so that when you cock it, of course, the person you want to attack has to be informed that you are loaded and that you are ready to defend yourself.
Okay, so thank you for that. And due to time, I want us to very quickly go through a story on page 4 of the Daily Nation, why Ruto is pushing for 6-piece vote in 2022. Politics is a chess game, Peter Moshendu, and you understand that. But the DP seems here to be very, very interested in popularizing his party and ensuring that from the ward level up to the presidential level, people vote for him. There are reasons there in the story. Our viewers can grab their copies of the Daily Nation and get to see what the writer there says about it. But I want to get your views on that. Do you think this is going to be an easy walk in the park for the DP?
Well, it's no secret. Personally, I am a very good supporter of the DP. But that doesn't mean that I must agree with everything he is saying, because I also have my own independent thinking and I have my independent views. One of the views is that this same thing is what we pushed for Jubilee. The suit, ile bigger suit.
6-piece.
We have seen what it has done to us. We have ended up getting very useless MCAs to start with. One of the reasons, it's true.
Why are you calling them useless?
I have absolutely no apologies for that. One of the major reasons why most county assemblies have failed, it is the kind of composition they have in the assembly. They are not competent people in the assembly that are able. I was here sometimes back and I was telling people, we have had 6 assemblies in this country, Osido. You cannot get an economist, you cannot get a lawyer, you cannot get an engineer. And the reason why we have serious and different departmental committees in the county assemblies and in the National Assembly, it is that if today, Osindo, you are being put in the health committee, there are so many considerations from your nominating party. There is the consideration on Osindo might be very good in health, he's very good in matters administration of health issues and all those things. So you find most county assemblies were deprived very serious competent people who would have become MCAs because of this nonsense suit that we must have an MP from this, an MP from this. I think one of the major reasons and one of the things that those people who are in the second deliberation pride about, it is the independent to choose the kind of leaders you want. And for once, I do not believe in a single party dominating the control of these county assemblies, National Assembly, and the Senate. So I think for once that is something we do not agree with the Deputy President. That when we agree that he may be the President, he must also allow, personally, I belong to a political party called Chama cha Kazi. We are gearing to get as many MPs, as many MCAs, as many women reps, and as many senators as we can. So that we can produce what is called the balancing act in parliament. Because one of the best way to check the executive, it is through the legislative arm. And the moment you allow that one political system, and I'll say this, Kenya has not yet grown to a democracy that can have what is called party internal democracy. I'll give you an example. Look at ANC in South Africa. As much as they dominate the politics of South Africa, Osindo here will tell you it is a very serious war in the internal democracies of the party. So therefore, those people are satisfied with the outcome of the internal democracies of the party. So as the party goes there, it is able to be accepted by the people because it has exercised internal democracy. In this country, political parties have not yet come out to be independent, to exercise internal democracies. And therefore, without an internal democracy in parties, it is paramount that we have as many parties as possible fielding candidates so that we can have checks and balances in the National Assembly, in the Senate, and ensure that we keep that executive that is going to come in check. So for once, I do not agree with the Deputy President as it comes to the point of political parties. I support him 100%, but I remain loyal to Chama cha Kazi. I remain loyal to the candidates of my party. And we are looking, and I think this is what political parties should do. In the Political Parties Act, there is a provision of either pre-election coalition pact or post-election coalition pact. And for me, this country requires post-election coalition pact. Because you will not be hautakuwa ukibahatisha. You will be doing coalitions with people who have already been given mandate by Wanjiko, and you agree. So for me, I think for this country to grow, and you know, I hear people giving examples of the US, sijui Republican, sijui Democrat. In the US there is over 230 registered political parties. Some are state registered, others are widely national registered political parties. So I think for me is that the election of a person should not be based by party. We have seen, and I am at no point attacking any industry, but we have seen people electing people from industries who do not understand. Today, the Kiambu County Assembly, where I come, can you imagine a financial statement? A budget is brought, and the mover is forced to actually, he moves the motion on the floor. Even before contribution, the mover is called to reply. Because the kind of quality MCAs who debate in that budget do not exist. So they just want to come pass time there, pass the budget, which affects their people. They have zero understanding. So I think for me, for the purposes of getting correct readers and people who are there, let's allow all political parties to field candidates. And the Wanjiko can decide the kind of a reader they want.
So thank you very much for those comments. Time now for a very, very short break. Morning Cafe will be right back. I want to hear Osido's views on that. The Deputy President is calling for a 6-piece kind of vote in anticipation of probably a runoff. He's already seen probably that a runoff could be on the cards. You know, politics is all about chess, as we've said. So I'll be right back.
Entrepreneurs around the country are creatively grinding.
I started with a borrowed phone.
A borrowed phone?
Yeah, that could last 2 hours with charge.
We just have to do quality work for them.
To make their mark in an unpredictable market.
It was now going on a sales venture, looking for stockists door to door.
On the grind, we bring you their stories so you can tell yours. Every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Men are known to be the pillars.
We're rising up together.
Say your point.
You need an alpha male now to come and help you and your girl.
Ameongea zero.
And women, they are the cornerstone that hold the pillars.
Dale kati ya mwingine.
don't be entitled. A man is peaceful, a man who's allowed to talk to a lady.
This November, the Men's Conference brings a cocktail of diverse ladies to weigh in on various matters.
Something I'd love more to see is men being able to exist as themselves.
Tune in every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
Hello guys, and welcome to Night In with Joy Irungu. Joy Irungu. Joy Irungu.
Heartbreak, pain, and tears have been a major part of Night In Season 1. We thank you for being with us on this journey, and for this upcoming season, we will bring you more empowering stories that not everyone is talking about.
This is the only show where we keep it authentic. We share our lifetime experiences, and you know what? Tell every person that you can turn your pain into power.
Join Joy Irungu on Night In as we take the brave step of sharing.
The road to 2022 is becoming tougher.
Nyuma ya wheelbarrow kuna economic model.
And trickier with each passing day.
Niliwaambia washushe chini bei ya mafuta.
Political aspirants in a dilemma whether to change allegiance or not.
How has Raila and the handshake made Jubilee lose focus?
You've seen Raila Odinga flying military choppers.
Our people have never been called to Uhuru Park to unite. They have always united out of their own volition.
Reduce your madness.
Kenyans are suffering.
Would that be fair to conclude?
I don't want your station to be sued. Is that Jubilee government has never been able to sponsor any successful project.
Every Monday at 9:30 p.m., Pundits Night brings you inclusive and candid conversations with the pundits. We say disability is not inability.
Our impairment are not disability. Disability is the barriers put across by the society.
Beyond the Limit gives a voice to those abled differently.
People with special needs can undertake a job, particularly that is customer service focused, as good, if not better, than people that are 100% abled.
We bring you conversations of these great persons, round table conversations, and many more. Every Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
Tasty. 100 anything you want the kabisa, like you do not need to add anything.
Yes. So the first thing you need as a beekeeper is a beehive.
Yes. Even though I know I won't read it as hard because when I'm getting the time.
You can handle it. But if you want us to reduce, we can reduce it.
Wake up feeling fresh every morning and knowing that there is a morning show that's got you covered. It's the morning show built just for you. From local headlines, a comprehensive debate, entertainment, and so much more. I'm always thrilled joining you every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Kilimo Diaries is not your one-stop show. Sandra Wahito is always on the move to different counties, different farms, and it's always unpredictable. Animals,
at the front and begin the conversation, including to the people that are going to be supporting him around how to make strong his government. That is, if he becomes the next president of this republic. But on the flip side, it's purely business, because if you were to look at a 6-piece, and just at the ward level alone, we have 1,450 wards in the 47 counties, 290 constituencies or sub-counties. If you were to have, say, the MCA paying 5,000 shillings, because that is the figure I think that they have indicated out there, 5,000 to the party, that gives you, and you have, say, 10 candidates, you have 72,500,000 shillings going to UDA, just at the level of MCA alone. If you were to have 10 candidates running on an MCA ticket for UDA party.
Yes.
The closer to power you move, the higher the figures become, including at the gubernatorial level. So if you look at UDA, just getting 72 million at the level of MCAs, that's just one of the 6 P's that is talking about. Of course, we have had parties, including ODM in 2013, 2017, talking about 6 P's. That has never been very successful, other than in 2007, where, of course, we did not have this kind of voting because of the constitution happening. But number 2 to that, other than the runoff, he's also interested in having a very strong government. That once you are able to have that at the county assembly and also at the national assembly level and even the Senate, then you control the government. So you seal off any expected antagonism. For instance, what President Uhuru Kenyatta has had to go through, where Jubilee Party has had to change the party leadership almost 3 to 4 times. When you have this kind of a 6-piece narrative and a conversation, so that you have your own people at both the county assemblies and the National Assembly or Parliament, including the Senate, then you seal off this kind of challenges. So that's probably what the Deputy President is looking at. But in Kenya, it is purely impossible, especially because the Constitution also allows for independence of candidature. So it will be difficult for UDA to field candidates in all the, yes, they can field candidates in the entire country, including in Nyanza, where we probably think that Mheshimiwa Raila has a higher following, in Western, at the coast, and now he's also busy climbing Mount Kenya, and the mountain is seemingly bowing down. So it will be difficult for UDA to say we are doing 6 P's in the entire country.
So as we wrap this up, you're talking about the mountain probably bowing down and warming up to Raila's presidency. Page 7 of the Standard talks about that. And Raila assures Nyanza residents of victory in 2022. He will officially declare his bid on December 10th. That is this month. We have a few days to that, I think a week or more. Kakamega Governor, that's weekly for Paranya, has also said that 2022 will be a Raila moment. I want to hear your views on that. You've said that the mountain is now warming up for a BAMBA presidency. Osido.
Yeah, precisely. And I listened to Mheshimiwa Raila's speech, and it was in Luo, and you could see the kind of excitement.
Yes.
And I liked what he said. He said that I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I am a little bit worried. And he said that he's worried because if he looks at the kind of foot soldiers that he has, there are people who are agile, they are excited, but they don't have this thing that he likes calling, which is normally misquoted, the bullet. Because people have said he's using the bullet to actually shoot people. But it's purely the voter registration process. And if you look at the numbers that IEBC had projected of 5.6 million, they were only able to get 1.6. And just this week, IEBC said that has been auspices of the voter turnout of the youth, and that they were not able to excite the youth. And when you looked, if you looked at the crowd that Mheshimiwa Raila was speaking to, it is quite a youthful crowd. Most of them are businessmen and women who are youthful. They are boda people and matatu touts. So the question therefore is that even as he is doing all this political fronting in the other parts of the country, including Mount Kenya, his base is Nyanza. And because he was there to launch a health project, of course, he also shared his health plan as a next president as a priority. But the bottom line, he more or less dwelt on how do you become a president. And he urged the people to go out there and ensure that they take advantage of the registration so that they can also be able to participate in the party nomination processes and ultimately in the general election, which I think for me is the biggest conversation for any serious political contender right now. Let people go out there, register, and people should know, Eric, that the registration process has not been closed, that the enhanced mass voter registration was for IEBC to boost the numbers, but that at any point in time you can walk into an IEBC office at your constituency or at your sub-county level and actually register. So people need to go out there, and that's really the conversation that Mheshimiwa Raila was talking about. The kind of people who went with him, including the Kakamega governor, even the CS for health, Mheshimiwa Masi Mwangangi, gave very exciting statements around how to whip people to vote for the former Prime Minister. So when he declares on in the next 7 days that he's running, the conversation needs to go back into how do you solidify these kind of numbers so that you actually even slim the margin of this thing we are calling 50% plus one, which is the runoff expected.
Sawa. Mushendu, the former PM here says that, that this is the moment that his supporters have been waiting for since he first contested for the presidency in 1997. What is it that he's going to do differently to finally clinch this, in your opinion?
I honestly do not expect Raila to do anything different than he has done over the years. And in the words of the president himself, President Uhuru Kenyatta, on the 2013 campaign trail, he dared to state that you cannot have the young leaving the presidency to the old, in his own words, the president. And that is when he was seeking to succeed Moi Kibaki, who was like a father to him. And specifically, I would tell Osindo and any other person who is looking for Raila movement to actually brace themselves, because a campaign is as good as the candidate. And we have seen Raila Odinga goes around for 3 meetings and takes a rest for 3 days.
But not that I am looking forward to Raila moment.
Of course, I have to make sure that I inject something to Osindo to ponder about. But the point here is, you are running against a candidate in the name of William Ruto.
But the president said, you know, the race is not a sprint; it's a marathon.
It is not a sprint.
He's the incumbent. He's the president. He's the president, and when he says that, you know, you tend to want to trust him.
Apart from Uhuru Kenyatta enjoying the traps of power, he's a human being like me. He is entitled to his opinion just like I am entitled to mine. He's only that he is the president of the republic. And that does not give him the autonomy of thinking on my behalf as Mushendu. So when I'm telling you, Raila Odinga is doing 3 meetings and taking a rest for 3 days, running against a candidate in the name of William Ruto, who is able to do up to 20 meetings in a day and do it every day. And Ruto has been doing this since 2017. And I will tell you, the problem and the biggest handle the Raila candidature is going to meet is that enthusiasm in the campaign. Kenyans ni wale tu. And I keep telling Osindo, Kenyans do not go to the ballot to elect in their history. They have always gone to the ballot to send people home.
What do you mean send people home?
No, the reason why we are heading up with very useless readers today is that
why didn't you send them? Why didn't you send them home?
Let me tell you, they gang together and they say, we are tired of Osindo. We are going to send Osindo home. They don't care who they elect. And in that process, they end up getting the wrong leaders. Now, Kenyans need excitement. It is that excitement that got everybody running behind Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto in 2017. You remember that time, even our Mount Kenya Foundation that was supporting the president then produced a lot of vehicles, a lot of lorries, a lot of adverts to have Kenya register as, to have Kenyans register as voters so that we can protect Mozambique in quotes. Today, you have noticed we have had a whole month of voter registration and the same clique has not even produced a coin for registration. Why? Because statistics shows any new registered voter would have voted for William Ruto. So the idea was the state and the people who subscribe to the state ideas to stay away from the registration. There was no need of bringing extra 8-9 million votes that were going to go to a guy.
You can't prove that.
No.
You can't verify that. You can't verify that.
Let me tell you. Politics is about insinuations, hypotheses, thinking. So I don't need to prove anything in a political statement. I'm just saying it is very suspicious. This system invested over 5 billion in the voter registration of 2017, prior to 2017, and has invested 0 coin in the voter registration of 2021. Basically, it is because the people who are going to be registered are very young people who need enthusiasm. They will be looking for a campaign that is lively. They will be looking for a candidate that is appealing to them. Yeah, the Raila Odinga candidature has allowed its candidate to always come and give history.
No.
We are good students of history. Let Raila, when Raila comes to the screen,
Osido,
let him not remind us of history. Osido, let him tell us what is going to happen.
That's his strategy.
Future.
That is his strategy. That is his strategy, and he's allowed to use it.
How many young people will identify with the Kenyatta Jaramogi Odinga relationship?
I want to give Osido.
These guys, they would identify with hashtags.
Osido, kindly, in less than a minute, because I want us to wrap up. Kindly, I rejoined us.
So Peter needs to be informed. As we speak right now, the context is very different from 2017. In 2017, Mount Kenya Foundation had a candidate in the name of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. You will do everything possible, including the figures he's talking about, 5 billion, to invest in an incumbent, because he was present in 2013. So you don't want to keep your monies and then you have the wrong person in power. As we speak, Mount Kenya doesn't have a candidate. And that is why we see all these forays towards the mountain to try and excite the crowd and get them a candidate. If they fail to get the candidate, the closest they can get is a deputy president, a running mate. And as I said, the enhanced mass voter registration process, it was only 1 month. The voter registration is a 5-month period. Mount Kenya Foundation can decide to pump 17 billion today to excite people to go and vote. But that also depends, Eric, on interests. Any candidate who will be able to whip Mount Kenya Foundation and all the other institutions that want to support their candidate have a choice to make, whether it is for President former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, or for the Deputy President Uhuru Kenyatta, or even any other candidate. The second issue is, I don't think that the interest of the new voters is in history. The interest of the new voters is in service delivery. And it would be wrong for us to tell the people of Kenya that we cannot rely on our history. In the next few days, we are celebrating a holiday that even if you ask some of the young people we are talking about, they will not know what it is, whether it is Madaraka Day, or Mashujaa Day, or Jamhuri Day. You see?
Okay.
Because we have failed to build that history, including even in our school curriculum, where we these days don't even recite the loyalty pledge. I pledge my loyalty to the president and the people of Kenya, my due diligence and all these things. You know,
which pride would you have to pledge your loyalty to the president who would fail in
okay.
So what needs to happen,
that's it.
Is that we need to twist the conversation to narrow on service delivery. And that is why we have also encouraged both presidents, aspirants, other candidates, to tell us what they want to do for the people of Kenya. The deputy president has done very well in running with the legacy of the president, because the last 5 years he has not supported President Uhuru Kenyatta as a deputy president. But every time he's out there, he's telling people about the good things that are happening in a government that he is not supporting. The former prime minister has learned that he keeps winning elections, but his election is stolen by a sitting government. And so the strategy is work with that major thief, then you send a thief to catch a thief, and then you get into power, then you are able
that's how we wrap it up.
Protect your service.
Unfortunately, we have to come to an end.
Just as far as the candidature of Raila Odinga is concerned, I will say this, as the Englishman says, you cannot teach an old dog new tricks.
Okay.
And you send a thief to catch a thief.
We have to come to an end of this show. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Peter Mushendu, the political analyst.